your skin is fried, your hair is fried, all from the chlorine and just like different stressors of your sport specific environment. I was just like, there is nothing here for me. I ended up, accidentally having like chemical burns from some of the popular skincare products. It ages me, but I'm talking, Proactive, Stridex, all of those. So diving into a chlorinated pool with some of those, very harsh chemicals
Right.
really woke me up in the morning in the wrong way, you know what I mean? Where it felt like burning sensation, all of that. So it just got me thinking, like, I know that swimmers definitely we have to deal with a little bit something a little bit more intense due to the chemicals and chlorine that we're kind of always immersing ourselves in. But, I asked some of my other athletic friends, team members who, were on lacrosse, basketball, volleyball, all different sports around Penn State. And they said the exact same thing that they just felt like there wasn't, the beauty industry was definitely overlooking them. And they felt like there wasn't, tailored solutions for them and their sport specific and also environmental specific concerns within training. It just seemed like that was kind of the overarching theme that there wasn't skin and body care that could, last the entire day and keep up with such active lifestyles that involve multiple training sessions, going from class to class to class to, running around and just being very, very active. So that kind of got me thinking. And, it always was kind of in the back of my head and the back of my mind. And
Hello, I'm Mike Ryan. I'm the Chief Networking Officer at PIMS, and welcome to our second season of Minutes with Mike. Now in my 33rd year at PIMS, I've had the privilege of partnering with companies both large and small, supporting their PR and marketing through customized fulfillment and distribution that delivers measurable impact on their brand perception, boosts positive affinity, and fuels their overall brand performance. And throughout my career, I've had the chance to work alongside many talented folks. This is their story. On this show, we'll sit down with some of the world's top marketing and business thought leaders to learn more about their success, how they got there, how marketing helped them achieve their goals, what strategies they used, and what inspires them. Please join me on this journey as we learn from those who are changing the way we think about business. So sit back, enjoy. You're listening to Minutes with Mike. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us for the next episode of Minutes with Mike. Today, my special guest is AnnRagan Kearns. Welcome, AnnRagan.
hi, I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, she is, among other things, she's the founder of Medalist Skin, and she's a founding member of LaunchBreak, and we're going to talk about all that in depth and in length. But I wanted to ask you about you, right? So tell our audience where it all started. I know there's a big thing on the swimming, and I wanted to talk about that. I'm very excited to talk about that. She's a Division I swimmer at both Penn State and Boston College, right?
Yep.
So let's start at the beginning. What made you get into the whole swimming things? Did it start when you were little? Start with that.
Yeah. So I actually was born in North Carolina around the water. So my parents said that they kind of taught me how to swim around the same time of learning how to walk. My parents are very big water people, sailboating all the time. We had access to water and all of that. So just for safety precautions, it was definitely something that kind of runs in our family. But then, I started with the summer swim league where a lot of swimmers start, where you get to get candy at every race you finish. So that was obviously an awesome summer pastime that I did with my sister and, the neighborhood friends that I made as well. And that kind of, turned into year-round swimming. I loved it so much, and I was sad to see that the candy didn't really translate into year-round swimming all the time. But yeah, it was an awesome experience and an awesome sport to be a part of growing up, especially, with my sister who is at the same competitive level as myself. And we were definitely, awesome training buddies and carried that on, into both collegiate careers.
I always make my promise, and of course, it always comes around the Olympics, right? When I see those guys, and
Yes.
they're all ripped, and the muscle, it's just unbelievable what these guys can do with their bodies, and just watching them, you get all caught up in it, choked up in it. And I always promise myself, because I'm sure you'll agree, but everybody always says when you talk about swimming, like, that's the best exercise, right? It works every muscle of your body. It works your breathing. It controls like everything about it is just wonderful. So leading into that, like when the Olympics come on, I'm like, oh, I gotta get out there, gotta do it. And then something happens in the next 4 years. I forget about it.
Got to find a pool first, right?
So you went on to Penn State. You did competitive swimming there. And then upon graduation, did you get like was your idea to for entrepreneurship sort of mulling around your head the whole time? Did you want to get into sports? What was the next step upon graduation that you wanted to take?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a few reasons why I wanted to, continue my career in sports. Obviously, being a swimmer growing up and being an athlete myself, but starting sophomore year, I was able to intern at Penn State Athletics Olympic division and Olympic department. So I actually was able to intern in kind of, the business side of Olympic sports. So I didn't do swimming because I was competing at those meets, but basketball, volleyball, hockey, all of those different kind of sports, I was able to kind of be able to grasp what it meant to have both sides of being an athlete and then also, running the business side of things, running a swim meet, running a track meet, and all of the time and effort that goes into that. My main sports that I focused on when I was an intern with the Penn State sports marketing department was volleyball, men's and women, and basketball for men's and women. Wrestling as well, I worked a lot with. And it was just a really great opportunity to kind of see the inner workings of different sports that, I normally wouldn't understand. Wrestling, particularly, learned a lot of different things about that. But that definitely helped me in terms of, my next steps of knowing that I wanted to be involved in the world of sports. For, grad school at BC, I majored in business communications. So for me, I kind of wanted to go down the path of utilizing my undergrad degree in PR and advertising and, continuing that on at Boston College to kind of really find something that I could combine both of those degrees and apply it somewhere. So that was the goal. And kind of, from there, ended up my first job was at People Style Watch magazine, which actually kind of led into the beauty side of things because I was working in the marketing and communications department and handling a lot of the beauty, fashion, lifestyle clients. So that's kind of how that all started as well.
I heard another podcast that you were on. I was doing some background work on you, and I was listening to another podcast, and you had an interesting point when you said it. I made a note of it because I wanted to talk about it, and that's the word community, right? Like, so I
Right.
know that in forming Medalist Skin, you did extensive research just by these communities that you were involved with, the sports community, now tied in with beauty. Tell me a little bit about how that formed. How did the feedback you were getting from the athletes that you were training with, the athletes that you were competing against, how did that sort of go into forming Medalist?
Yeah. So Medalist has been a brainchild of mine for, over a decade now. I feel like when I was at Penn State in swimming, even before Penn State, when you're starting to really start becoming, a national level swimmer around the age of 13, 14, and you're going to doubles and your skin is fried, your hair is fried, all from the chlorine and just like different stressors of your sport specific environment. I was just like, there is nothing here for me. I ended up, accidentally having like chemical burns from some of the popular skincare products. It ages me, but I'm talking, Proactive, Stridex, all of those. So diving into a chlorinated pool with some of those, very harsh chemicals
Right.
really woke me up in the morning in the wrong way, you know what I mean? Where it felt like burning sensation, all of that. So it just got me thinking, like, I know that swimmers definitely we have to deal with a little bit something a little bit more intense due to the chemicals and chlorine that we're kind of always immersing ourselves in. But, I asked some of my other athletic friends, team members who, were on lacrosse, basketball, volleyball, all different sports around Penn State. And they said the exact same thing that they just felt like there wasn't, the beauty industry was definitely overlooking them. And they felt like there wasn't, tailored solutions for them and their sport specific and also environmental specific concerns within training. It just seemed like that was kind of the overarching theme that there wasn't skin and body care that could, last the entire day and keep up with such active lifestyles that involve multiple training sessions, going from class to class to class to, running around and just being very, very active. So that kind of got me thinking. And, it always was kind of in the back of my head and the back of my mind. And being, in the beauty space now for over 10 years, I've been able to kind of identify that white space. What brands are speaking to different athletes? What brands are speaking to the casual workout person or the casual athlete. But this is Medalist is definitely different where it's for, people who are just on the go all the time, not not slowing down. going from practice to class to another practice and all of that. So I feel like in terms of, cultivating this community, it was from the ground first with my lived experience and being around and saying, there literally seems to be a disconnect in the beauty industry for what they're providing for athletes. And it just seems like at some points they were just like slapping the word sport on it or claiming to be, something that can keep up and last. But I was, surprised to hear that they weren't even testing it on athletes to really realize that that's a claim that they can make. There's a very significant difference in beauty in the beauty industry from, your regulatory RIPT testing and making sure everything's compliant to does this product actually work and keep up with the claims that it, is being made by this brand. So I think that was for us like our very first step at Medalist is really making sure that we were creating a product that actually worked. And by doing that, we created our athlete tester panel that we sent out to, 35 plus WNBA players, National Women's Soccer League, Olympic medalists, and said, hey, girls, test this for a month during your workouts. Let us know what happens. Let us know if it works. Let us know what you like, what you don't like. And we actually made 3 to 4 tweaks per or per product for formulation. So I think that's what really sets us aside in this kind of performance beauty space is that we're actually being able to back up our claims with eager athletes who've been wanting to, get involved with the brand from day zero to want to be a part of a brand that actually works.
I mean, the numbers are through the roof for the year over year growth of women's, sports and the performance beauty vertical.
Yes. Yeah.
Leading up to this, I did some research on that too, and it's really exploded across the board. How about influencers themselves? I know you mentioned that, you have a community based on feedback from the performance folks themselves, but how about straight up influencers? Now you tie into beauty, right? And beauty is heavy with these influencers, some paid, not some not paid. Where do you envision Medalist going on that end of the spectrum?
Yeah. So honestly, there has been, lots of studies that have recently come out on particularly one by Wasserman, who did an awesome study on the influence of the female athlete. And it really is growing, like you said, year over year in terms of consumers looking towards these female athletes as influencers in their own right. I feel like beauty specifically, beauty and wellness products, are definitely through the roof in terms of athletes having influence on consumers. Athletes are someone that they are not only extremely picky because they have to be a lot of the times with NCAA regulations, governing bodies of sports regulations, and the Olympic Committee of what they're putting in their body. And they're also that particularly of what they're putting on their body. So we obviously knew we had to have clean everything, clean ingredients that weren't going to disrupt any sort of hormones or, anything that could turn up negative on an NCAA test or make something that would cause any sort of stress in terms of competing or anything like that. So I feel like, for performance beauty, it's just been super explosive within, I would say 2023 and above. It's just been amazing to watch the rise of women and female sports at the same time, performance beauty, as, there's more and more active women everywhere. Last year, there was over a 10% rise alone last year in hybrid athletes in terms of working out at home and working out at the gym. So, this wellness movement and this female athletes finally having their time in the sun, I truly believe is a movement and not a moment. And that's why Medalist is really excited to be, producing these products for these awesome female athletes. But going back to kind of the influence of it all, like you spoke to, I feel like, with a beauty product, any type of consumer who is following a female athlete and sees that, hey, this wipe really got everything off of me right in the middle of a training workout, no mess, no rub. I was able to wipe and go and feel a lot better about myself. I feel like if it works for an athlete who is running up and down the court or breaking records and winning gold medals, and it will work for the average consumer who maybe is going on their hot girl walk, or maybe they're a weekend warrior with their, pickleball tournaments, or even just walking their dog in the park on a hot summer day. If it works for these elite athletes who are tackling girls on a rugby pitch or, sweating it out on beaming sun on a clay tennis court, then it's going to work for, the average woman who's looking to get a workout in or just trying to, live that active lifestyle.
And when you're selling to a community that not only focuses on, you have the pre-event stuff that you're going to be using, post-event workout stuff, post-workout recovery stuff. Nutrition also ties into it too, right? Like these are the folks that are looking at everything that goes in and on their body, right? Or the largest organ of the body is the skin. So these folks aren't just putting just anything on. They want to make sure it's healthy, and ingredient wise, they're being very specific to what they use. So
Yeah, I mean, I think that's twofold, right? You have athletes who are seen as influencers, and they're the ones who are super meticulous exactly of everything that you said, what's going in their body and on their body. They're reading ingredients, they're paying attention to, nasty no-nos that they don't want absorbed in the skin. But also Gen Z and this kind of next generation of athletes who is Medalist's main target is the most consumer savvy generation we have. I mean, think of the Sephora teens, all of that. I mean, they are meticulous about the ingredients that they want going on their skin. And I think with that is a twofold combination of why performance beauty just makes so much sense, and why also we have to be held under, a microscope and to much higher standards in a regular skincare routine, because we are, athletes at the highest level who are really caring about what is going in their body and on their body.
what about sustainability, right? When you're talking about ethical sourcing and stuff like that, like what considerations among everything else you have to worry about? Maybe you could talk a little bit to that.
Yeah, I think sustainability is also a huge pillar in consumers, interest and focus these days when they're choosing between brands. We are all, sustainably sourced. All of our products are made in the USA, which we love. I think gives us a little bit more control over developmental process, and our manufacturers and team members are able to kind of whip something up a lot sooner than having, to have shipping and all that freight and all that come from around the world, halfway across the world. So back to, ethical sourcing and sustainability, like I said, every all of our products are made in the US and we're sustainably sourced. Our next venture, we definitely want to lean in on creating more sustainable packaging and wipes for us. I think that's going to be definitely something in the future that, we need to focus on doing. And we're excited and already talking to a few companies to make that happen. But we're doing our best, to make sure that we're not creating additional landfill and all of that that comes with, having beauty brands and all of that today.
Really important nowadays. That's what everybody's talking about.
Really.
The other thing everybody's talking about, of course, is AI. The next steps on how that data and the algorithms that are formed there are going to help advance these products and advance these new opportunities. Tell me a little bit about on your end. Have you started using it? How does it work on your end? What are maybe the pluses and minuses on that?
Yeah. So I feel like there's a lot of benefits and there's a lot of things that we as a brand are going to stay away from in terms of AI. I think it's important for us to continue to feature real athletes in our campaigns. And, there are some brands that are leaning in towards like using AI models and all of that. We will never do that just because we want to feature our real athletes. There's so many, wonderful female athletes out there to feature, not just what they're doing on the field, but, in the classroom and off the field as well. So that's a really huge pillar for us, is just, using those real athletes out there, all skill levels, not just the Olympians that you see all over social media and that. But I think in terms of AI being super helpful for us, just, a lot of back end data that we're able to gather in terms of making things easier for our athlete tester panel, for questions when we're doing our market research development. Been using some AI just to help us with kind of next steps of gathering all of that data and how we can kind of source through it and mine through it to create our next products. Obviously all of our products are with Medalist are developed with our athlete market research panel. So it's been really helpful in terms of, identifying, sourcing some of these athletes that, may not be on our radar originally, because we're, working with athletes as young as 13, 14, who may not even have that Instagram presence or social media presence, but we want them to be involved in sourcing and developing our products and interviewing them to make sure that, this skincare range is kind of the first product you'll grab when you become, really devoted to your sport or workout, and that's going to continue throughout your career wherever that athletic journey takes you.
Elf Cosmetics has been using Billie Jean King
Yep.
part of their marketing, which is those videos and commercials are wonderful. With the influx of the Caitlin Clark, it seems like women's sports is really in white hot in high gear. If budget wasn't a concern and not having to worry about how to connect with these people wasn't a concern, who would be your dream spokesperson for your brand?
Oh, I mean, I think Caitlin Clark for sure would be a huge, huge, goal of ours. Angel Reese, all of the WNBA players. I mean, we're lucky that a lot of our tester panel, we have, those WNBA players as well. Some of them, are Caitlin and Angel's teammates. So that's been exciting, kind of even just have that interest of that level and caliber of athlete to be involved in developing our brand. But yeah, Billie Jean King, I mean, she's a GOAT. She's the reason why a lot of our, athletes, our female athletes are able to be and do what they're doing today. I think it's women like her, Flo Jo, Dara Torres, all the kind of original, we call them our medalist muses, women who really laid down the foundation for us and their future generations of women in sport to really take off of what we've come to within the last 2 years or so. When I think of people who have really inspired this brand, it is some of those leading ladies, Mia Hamm, all of those
The dream team,
women.
right? Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. Iconic women who have really paved the path for the future generations of female athletes to come. And if this is what's happening right now, and female athletes are finally getting the attention and their time in the sun, like I'm so excited for the future of what that looks like. It's a lot of thanks to, women like Billie Jean King and some of the others that I, mentioned before.
Well said. Let's talk about LaunchBreak, right? I know that you are the founding member there, and LaunchBreak is an online platform that empowers the women's athletic community. Tell me how that started. Where did that come up, and where's that headed?
Yeah, so LaunchBreak has been a lifesaver in terms of being able to partner with them. They've been a huge partner with us during our launch. They launched a little bit before Medalist launched. We launched July 1st and they launched around late spring, early summer. So I've been able to, source interns for Medalist, partnerships for Medalist. It's an online community for current and former athletes, female athletes of at least NCAA level and above. They have a lot of great, I just posted on the bulletin board, "Hi guys, I'm AnnRagan. Like I swam. Here's what I'm building. If anyone's interested, please reach out." And just the amount of athletes, former, current, all different levels of who wanted to be involved in the brand, no matter if it was, "Hey, I work in supply chain. I'd really love to help you." Or, "Hey, I'm a current track athlete at XYZ University. I'd love to, be an ambassador." Every kind of touch point I feel and just the amount of people reaching out to me and inbound requests to work with the brand was just one of the reasons why I was like, okay, this is exactly why I built this brand to really get that sense of teammate camaraderie. We're doing this together, we're building this together. Let's work on this common goal of creating the best skincare we can for athletes. And it's going to be with everyone's help involved, and I think that that's just a beautiful thing that we've been able to really combine two communities together of really the purpose of them is to empower the female athlete and make these connections and honestly just kind of take you back to the days when you were training and you had that camaraderie and teammate camaraderie in the locker room and all of that, just wanting to help each other, push each other to be the best they can. And I'm really thankful for LaunchBreak, and being a founding member has definitely helped with a lot of medalist launch and team members that we have onboarded for advisory positions, retail conversations. Really awesome to see kind of the depth and just the amazing positions that female athletes have. I read a stat the other day that about, I think it was like 80% of female in the C suite or 70% of females in the C suite are former athletes. And I think that's just a testament of being able to, what you really learn is growing up as an athlete and learning how to be a team member, work with lots of different people. And, it's all for a common goal and striving for something larger than yourself. Obviously, I think is something really important in terms of, connecting with these other female athletes and being a part of a community where everyone feels like seen and embraced and empowered. And I'm just happy that we can do it together.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely onto something there. This whole idea, and I know we opened up the whole conversation talking about community too. Born from your world of being a part of a team, really springboarded you into this whole world of community where now you're actually reaching out to people to help each other, right? It wasn't too long ago in this world of ours, nice mug, by the way, in this world of ours where, everybody kept everything close to the vest and nobody was kind of willing to help. Now it seems the tide has really turned on that. Now everybody is going out of their way to help with the part of the puzzle that they can help solve. If
Yes.
somebody's watching this and they want to get involved with LaunchBreak, how do they do it?
So LaunchBreak, you can just go to www.launchbreak.com to sign up. We're on LinkedIn, DM me and I can intro you to the founders. But if you're a current or former NCAA athlete or, current former professional athlete, Olympic athlete, we've got all levels on there, which is absolutely so cool to see. We have a professional decathloner who is, on the bulletin board with someone who is just starting out their sophomore year in track and field at, XYZ University. So it really is, you're able to kind of, I think for the next generation of female athlete, to be able to take advantage of this community. I wish something like this was available when I was competing and when I was training. Even to just have someone as a mentor, you asked about how I got into the beauty space, and it really was just, my interest and my personal interest. And if I had someone who was building a brand 10 years ago to kind of lean on and learn from and have that direct, mentorship, I think that that would have been really, really amazing and awesome. So just the opportunities that are available there to these CAA athletes in particular in terms of job connections. People are even offering like, let me look at your resume, and just simple stuff like that. That when you are a 19-year-old looking for some help and you don't even know the first direction to go in, I think it's really invaluable connections and resources that you can get from there.
Great segue. You wear many, many hats, and somewhere, if it doesn't say this on your bio, it should say mentor too, right? Because I'm sure just watching you, this next generation of women that are coming up behind you are going to look to you as a source of, I want to do what she's doing. What would you say to those, freshmen going into college, athlete that has goals and aspirations of maybe starting her own brand or getting involved with one of the brands that have been around for forever? Tell me what you there's a lot of ups and downs. What advice would you give that person?
Yes. Well, I think the first thing is that, I owe a lot of what I have cultivated as an entrepreneur to, what I've learned as being a female athlete and what I learned swimming, time management skills, like I said, being able to work as a team member on a team as large as 30 other girls where you may not get along all the time, but it's something that, striving for something that's larger than yourself and being able to put the hard work and also trusting the process. I think that was a huge thing when I was in college. I tore both my rotator cuffs within 2 months of coming into Penn State. And that really kind of derailed the trajectory of my swim career. But at the same time, learning from those kind of harder moments and being able to kind of take it in and understand that everything's happening for a reason, trusting the
Yeah.
process. I feel I learned how to become the best team member I could because, I wasn't able to train, I wasn't able to compete, but I was like, what can I do, now that I'm out for 7 months? What can I do to uplift and empower my other team members? And how can I be the best team member possible if I'm not able to do that by winning a race or, getting in the pool and being a training partner? So there's a lot more than just, being a good swimmer or being the best on the team than being a good teammate. And I think that's another thing that I learned that I will always, always, always thank sport for is just how to be a supportive person, even if it's not winning and scoring all the points.
Where can we find you next? Do you go to a lot of shows? Do you got to tell us what your sort of calendar looks like on the upcoming days ahead?
Yes. As in terms of, where you can find Medalist, we'll be in pop-up grocer coming January through April. So I'm really excited about that and definitely talking to a lot of other cool retailers that I'll keep you posted about, kind of ironing out different, where you can shop and find us next. Just super exciting. And we're also doing a lot of our product development right now for two launches coming up in 2025. So we are full speed ahead in terms of utilizing our athlete tester panel and our market research panel to help develop our next two products. we're super excited about. And these two products were the most requested products from our last round of athlete tester and athlete market research panels. So being able to really watch something come to life and watch a community build it together, basically voted, we gave our research panel five different options and we said, pick your most two that you think that you need right now. And you don't think there are these products that are either A, offered to, an athlete's active lifestyle or something that you think that we need to completely redo in the mindset of working for a female athlete. So those two products will be on the horizon coming Q1 2025 and then late summer 2025. So we're busy and excited.
Congratulations, and your energy is addictive. So
Thank
I
you.
know great
Thank
things are
you.
certainly to come. And Reagan, this leads us to our lightning round. I didn't tell
Okay,
you
I'm
about
ready.
this. It is a
Lay it on
surprise,
me.
but it is going to be a this or that type thing. And I did a little chat GPT. So I typed in a little bit about your swimming career, and this is what
Yep.
they threw out to me. So here we go. Are you ready? Sprint or distant swimming events?
Oh, well, I wish I was a sprinter, but I was a distance swimmer. These shoulders here, I was a 200 butterflyer, the mile, 500 freestyle, the 1,000. I really wish that I could have been a sprinter for sure.
Freestyle or backstroke?
Freestyle,
Individual medley or relay?
relay. Oh man, I don't want to do all those strokes by myself.
I think the relay is really exciting too. I mean,
Yes.
individual is great too, but that relay, it's just there's something about that again.
Sometimes
Like,
that my most favorite wins and my most favorite like record breaking performances have been on relays versus individual. It's just again that team, just something very special of like doing something with other people and, celebrating in that moment together and having someone to celebrate is, just really incredible and such a high, that a lot of athletes, really, really love when they win all together.
so great. Training in a pool or open water?
I like open water, but definitely pool. Sometimes there's sharks and other creepy crawlies out in the ocean.
I don't know if this next question is even an option, but you can tell me. Swim cap or no swim cap?
Well, you got to do a swim cap in practice, but I wish I didn't have to because I think that was some of the things that, aided in my hair mess that I was getting. But yeah, if I could figure out a way to just, put a bubble around my hair instead of having a silicone swim cap tear my hair out, maybe that's our next product.
I don't know why it just popped in my head. Remember the Diana Nyad when she had all the sunblock on her face as she's swimming?
Yes.
It's all
Yep.
over the place.
Yep.
Goggles with tint or clear goggles?
It depends if I'm swimming outside or not and if I'm doing backstroke. But I would say clear for indoor training, tinted for outdoor training. And I had both for
See,
when,
see
at
that?
Penn State, we had an outdoor pool. So I had my tinted goggles for that.
An answer only a swimmer could give. Well done. Okay, here's the last one. I want you to give this some thought, or if you have it in your head, you just throw it out there.
Okay.
Which swimmer, Olympic or otherwise, has had the biggest influence on you in the sport?
Oh, man. Okay. I'm going to say Natalie Coughlin. She was a swimmer, my favorite time. And I think what really actually, inspired me to become a swimmer was like the Sydney Games. So obviously we had Michael Phelps who was there, who was super young. We had Amanda Beard, we had Natalie Coughlin, and those were my Katie Ledecky, honestly, growing up and watching them kind of crush their events and just really be like amazing, role models for these younger girls growing up. Now I definitely say Katie Ledecky. She's been amazing to watch. I mean, it's awesome to just being a distance swimmer. I'm just like, holy moly, like that is insane that she can lap someone in a long course
It's
pool.
insane. It's
Yeah, and
crazy.
the best in the world too.
It's insane. I think I saw a stat about her that said maybe the biggest piece of information about her that just talks miles is she has all 20 of the top 20 times of all
Yes.
time.
Yep.
That's
She does.
incredible.
My my interesting tidbit with her is I did race her when she was like 12 or 13 and I was in college, and she lapped me when she was 12 or 13. So I am honored and privileged to say that I was lapped probably multiple times by Katie Ledecky.
That's incredible. Well, AnnRagan Kearns, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. It's been very insightful. We wish you all the best, and we're going to keep our eye on the products and the new launches, and we expect great things. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. It's been a pleasure. This was so exciting. And thank you to PIMS and everything that you guys have done to help us through our launch, and looking forward to continuing our partnership.